everybody.
Hey, Dr. Nick.
My name is Josh. If I wander around, camera folks, can you still hear me, or should I stay by the desk?
I think I have to
Stay there.
Stay there.
Please.
Okay, I will stay here. So, my name is Josh. I have the privilege of having worked with or learned from an awful lot of folks at this event. It's a joy to be here presenting to you. I have been exploring planetariums in a new capacity. Once upon a time, I got my start in planetariums at San Francisco State. They let me come to the California Academy of Sciences, where I goofed off for about 10 years. It was a joy to help create programs there, to engage audiences, to learn a ton about how a digital planetarium differed from the optomechanical, and the awesome stuff you could do. Sometimes they let me on the roof with telescopes, as seen here. And then someone made the profound mistake of hiring me for NASA. This was when I was doing NASA Social for the Cassini finale, but I was part of the NASA Ames Research Center, where we did audience engagement in a variety of places and spaces all across the country. So it was a very fun gig, but shockingly little to do with planetariums or open space, which is something I was actively working to fix. But now, I'm post-NASA, and I get to do my own thing. I am doing portable domes. So, I have sprung off on my own, sort of a bold adventure. We're doing an awful lot. Some might say too much. But we want to bring the planetarium, the observatory experience, to you wherever you might be it a winery in Napa, a school in the Central Valley. If you want astronomy brought to you, that's the joy. So I have a 5 and a 6 meter dome. That seems to be a nice in-between spot, not huge, not small. You do have capacity with the 6 meter, that's great, but I've discovered that 13 feet is a very unfortunate height for American ceilings. So, in order to fit in more spaces, a 5 meter is a lot easier. So, both seems to be the sweet spot. Software platforms, the system I bought was a Digitalis, which is wonderful at the night sky. But for the digital universe, for going beyond that, for seeing really amazing high-resolution stuff, it left me a little frustrated. Because I was used to using UniView and OpenSpace at the other institutions I had been at, I wanted more versatility, more free flight, and I got it with OpenSpace and other platforms. We'll talk more about that shortly. One thing that I've noticed is that the dome is phenomenal when you can set up a dome. A dome can't be set up everywhere. There are weather challenges, there are space challenges, there are all sorts of interesting AV kerfuffles I've run into already in the short time I've been doing it. And the solution for me has been, much like we're doing right now, a rectilinear presentation. I've got a portable projector screen. All you got to do, it turns out, a planetarium projector, you take the fisheye off. It's a regular projector. So that's been an absolutely amazing superpower to uncover. But not everyone can come to me. I can't get to everyone. So another option that's been really awesome has been finding ways to send content online. It seems like there's a couple people who caught our broadcasts from the Academy when we very first were going to sit out live shows for a couple months because of this COVID thing. Turned into a lot longer than a couple months. But we were broadcasting open space content out to the universe, and that proved to be a really cool opportunity to share that content. In learning how to use OBS and a bunch of different streaming platforms, it's enabled me to use some of those same skills to bring open space content to anyone who can connect to YouTube, Facebook Live, or any other streaming platform. So, one last thing and something I really take joy from is the genuine experience someone gets from looking through a telescope at the thing. That is, for everyone who's done it, something that's really special. Something that you remember the first time you did it. You remember when you see something new or awesome you never knew was truly out there, so you see it through that eyepiece. So bringing a telescope to people has been fantastic, but I live in the Bay Area, so for many months of the year we don't get to see the sky. It's foggy for a huge chunk of the year. We've been working on other options for that, but bringing a radio dish places seems a little out of the opportunity. One really cool thing though is when we do have a clear, dark night sky, utilizing capability like EV scopes, like Unistellar, has allowed audience members to download the app and then take photographs through my telescope that they can take home as sort of a digital souvenir. So it's been a really nice thing for people who are willing to download a small piece of software to their personal device. They can take that photo home, they can show it off to their friends and family, and they can say, I was there, I took this photo, which is about as true as me taking the photo. It's the telescope taking the photo, but we can all take credit for what the machine was doing. So, the last thing we discovered is if you have a projector and an iPad and a sound system, you can do karaoke. You can bring that anywhere, and I'm really hoping one day to be able to do karaoke under the stars inside the planetarium. There are some technical hurdles there we have not solved. But this is where we come to the crux of my presentation, and a tough moment for me. May 10th was a horrible day, which I will remember for the rest of my life for a variety of reasons, but the biggest one you can see right there is about 1 meter long, and it's a tear inside my dome. So this was derailing for a brand new business, just getting started, and really a tough time. And to deal with this trauma, I'm going to engage in the escapism of Star Trek, and use the damaged Enterprise here to better explain exactly what went on. I was adrift. I didn't have power, I didn't have the capability of moving, and I was in desperate need of help. So, what happened was I got help. I was profoundly lucky to have made some connections throughout my life. Nomad Domes in Colorado, Mars Planetarium down south, engaged with me immediately. Reached out, talked me through what I needed to do, how I would get my dome repaired and eventually replaced, how I would go through the technical hurdles of figuring out exactly how to migrate my content that I needed from what I'd been doing in Digitalis over to OpenSpace, and they were just lifesavers, to the point of offering me their projectors, their domes, when I really needed it. So that was amazing. I was truly privileged to benefit from their experience, their knowledge, and their support, and my hope now is to try and find ways to pay that forward. I really want to make sure that the portable dome community has an opportunity to do more better. So if you will permit, I know there's a lot of Star Trek fans. I have modified this sacred banner in some subtle ways. Perhaps you can pick out. But I really want to try and inspire this kind of idea. People working together to a better future, people working together to support one another and offer that kind of resource trading if and when the opportunity arises. Because we are all a little vulnerable, those of us without big institutions behind us, and having the support of the other small operators could be a really big deal. So, mutual promotion, one thing Scott pointed out early on, is we don't interfere with each other in terms of where we're selling our product, where we're going. So me telling people that live down south, hey, I've got a friend who does wonderful shows in the San Diego area, wouldn't it be awesome if I'm not going to be hired by you, but you could hire him? Specialization, if we do have overlap, if I'm next to another small dome operator or there's a community we both serve, let's talk to each other. Let's be collaborative. Let's make sure that we're not offering products that are in competition. Maybe you handle the elementary school stuff, I'll handle the high school stuff. Collaboration on bigger projects. I've got a dream of a bunch of smaller dome operators buying in and hiring a production studio or even a maybe graphic designer or something to produce content that we can all use. That's too big an option for me to pursue personally, but if I had other similarly sized domes buy in, then it might be something attainable. So focusing on that kind of resource would be wonderful. Material support. If your projector goes out, you could probably find another projector, but maybe not quickly. If your optics crack, you could be in a much more dire situation. So finding out if there's somebody else who maybe they're going on vacation, they don't need their optics for a chunk of time, or their projector, that would be wonderful. Domes are very specialized pieces of hardware. If you could find a way to offer support to one another, it makes everybody more resilient. Grant writing, business support, I'm terrible at it. There are other people who aren't. I am very much hoping that we can support each other. I'll trade you food or something. But then asset sharing. This is a really big one. If I write out the world's greatest third-grade show in Digitalis, if I want to send it to somebody who's not using their ecosystem, that's pretty much impossible. They'd have to start over. So if we could find a way to share assets amongst us, that would be a really big deal. I've been trying to connect with as many portable domes as I can. If you have other portable domes or are interested in collaborating, I would love to hear from you to talk about what is required for there to be a truly shared platform, an ecosystem we can all buy into. And these were the lists we came up with. So at your leisure, we're going to go through it real quickly. Usable and intuitive AI, or UI, reasonable load times, support that still exists and doesn't disappear, documentation and scripting examples, ability to locally cache data, the sky mode we see from boots on the ground looking up, as well as the 3D universe, full-blown video playback, and a potential link to that loaner system idea of if my laptop goes down and you've got a laptop you can load me, that's awesome, but if all of my assets were tied to my laptop, I need to be able to download the software again to your laptop and pull my assets in. So looking at these, looking at Micah, he's nodding, OpenSpace fills an awful lot of those requirements. There's a couple that are still outstanding, but I really like the idea of if we can make a federation of planetariums happen, then we would benefit from something like OpenSpace being a real developed substrate that we're all building on top of. So, price, awesome. It's got benchmarks that we can make sure that the computer you're buying clears them, and then you can operate on there. It's not a sort of like, well, you have to buy our system. There's broad support in an active community, which is you, so thank you. We can share assets in a way that we've been talking about over the course of these past 2 days, but getting my perfect 3rd to 5th grade show onto your computer is easy, and then if my computer explodes, I can buy a new piece of hardware and get that show back on it, lickety-split. So that's partially because of the E issue. There's no licensing. I don't have to go to a company and say, may I pretty please download this onto a new computer. It's open source. You can have it on as many computers as you want. You must have very deep pockets if it's more than like 2. But, and then when we look at those requirements on the previous page, it meets or exceeds many of them. Not all of them, but many of them. And that's what's really gotten me excited. So I think I'm close to time. Megan, how am I doing? So if anyone has any questions or ideas, I would love to hear it. But my ask of you is if you are a portable dome operator or know some, I would love to get in touch. I'm Josh at astroeverywhere.com. And I would be absolutely delighted to hear from other people what they're doing, how they're doing it, and if they're interested in this kind of broad collaborative support. People across domes really supporting each other because we don't have those gigantic institutions backing us. So, yeah, thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Owning a portable planetarium, I can understand how it felt to have a tier in the planetarium. I feel like having a roof pulled out.
Yeah. So what happened to cause the horrible thing? A confluence of events. It was a very warm day. We were in more direct sunlight than anticipated. It was a sheltered environment, but it turns out there's one direction wind could come in from, but the wind wasn't blowing that way, so it wasn't a big deal. And then the wind came in from that direction. So in the process of setting up for the event, it got buffeted, it popped, and it came apart at the seam. All the inside air came out, and no amount of frantic duct taping and gaff taping could bring it back together. So thank you for making me relive the trauma.
That's part of the healing.
Part of the healing.
Could you show pictures of portable planetariums?
Can I show pictures of portable planetariums? A lot on my phone, but not in my presentation. So if you want to check it out after, I'd be delighted to show you all the different interstitial bits of it inflating. Yeah.
Just a thought / suggestion. But I remember back to the OpenSpace Takeoff, and one of the things that we were talking about like 10+ years ago was having an asset store. And it seems like these things have kind of just popped up on their own. So like there's itch.io, which is a game developer, primarily community, but it really is just an open source community for sharing content and assets and such. Something like that could be used as a platform. It does also allow people to charge. It's a 0 transactions fee, 0. Like it's truly about supporting the community and the game developers and game designers. These are exactly the kind of people that can do asset development for 3D models or OpenSpace itself. So, I don't know if anybody wants to just reach out for them, but you can automatically just start using it.
Yeah, as opposed to like using our own OpenSpace stuff. I guess it's like would be an interesting idea if that by putting stuff on there, it might like excite and or engage other members of their existing community.
Yes.
But go for it. Let's find out. I wouldn't have too much hope. The thing I would say is that when it comes to something like that, like if you were hoping to inspire the people who were using that community already, you probably have to do more than just upload files to there. You probably have to have a whole bunch of us come in and overflow it so that they say, what's happening? Why is this new group of people using it? And what are they doing with it? And should we be involved or not? So it's a really neat and interesting idea. I would say that I don't even know that we had considered using other platforms rather than creating our own hub, because we did want to be able to build in features like to import the assets for you and stuff like that that are OpenSpace specific rather we would be happy to try that in addition to what we have. Like, ain't nothing. That's the great thing about OpenSpace. Like, it's free and there's no what. Oh no, you can't upload it to there because it's private. And oh my God.
If somebody on Itch wanted to make me some spaceships I've got on a list, I would be delighted.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. All the above, right? Why not both?
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
Anybody else? Yeah.
What has your audience looked like as you traveled around the
So one of the things I was most excited about striking out on my own is that I got to look for a variety of different audiences. In my previous role, we were told we were no longer engaging schools, and that was heartbreaking for me. That's why I love doing this stuff. So I've gone to a couple local elementary schools. I'm looking at building that audience more. First, starting close to home. But I've also tried to reach out to local event planning groups where if they decide that they want to do a big party and a portable planetarium would fit in with whatever weird theme is happening, then they would reach out. That being said, I've not heard from them at all. But theoretically, that's an option as well. But I would say right now, mostly schools and small community events like libraries. Okay, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Next up. Yeah. Do you need sound?
So I might switch to Steam.
Yeah, good one.
Later on. I mean, first one. Okay. All right, hello everyone. My name is Adam Barnes. I'm from the Houston Museum of Natural Science. I'm here kind of representing Dr. Pat Reif from Planetarium. She unfortunately couldn't be here this time. But at the Houston Museum of Natural Science, we've had a partnership with Planetarium and the Discovery Dome for decades. Dr. Carolyn Sumners and Dr. Pat Reif are best friends, those of you that know them, and partners in crime and many things. And we've been able to use OpenSpace in conjunction with some of the products from Discovery Dome, or from Planetarium, and use the two together. And I kind of wanted to demonstrate that to you. I have a PowerPoint, but the PowerPoint is just slides of the actions, and I thought, well, I might as well just do the actions. Somebody asked about what a portable Discovery Dome portable planetarium looks like. And again, I'm not trying to promote things or sales pitch, but there's some good pictures of what the Discovery Dome looks like. So I'll go to this. Here's some examples. We have 1 ring, 2 ring, 5 ring. Some of these geodomes are pretty big. This is what we have inside of underneath the planetarium, like right next to my office, unfortunately, literally. We have kids coming in and out. It's semi-permanent because it's rigid geostructure, geodesic structure. It can be assembled, with aluminum. It's aluminum bars. We can assemble it and deassemble it for about a day. But these inflatable ones, take 30 minutes to set up.
What was the bottom one on that last page?
That one? Oh yeah, so we can also print. And I don't have any pictures of the one that we currently take out to schools, but we had an intern design, a Mars landscape. It's cartoony and artistic. It's a Mars landscape. It has this rocket ship on it. It has it from the astronaut. We put logos on it. And so they now have the ability to print directly onto the dome material. So you can, put an Earth globe, a night sky, full of logos, whatever you want to do.
We have that.
Yes? Okay, great. So I just wanted to kind of, set the stage for what that looks like.
Sorry, I was just talking about your blower, because that was the conversation.
Okay. It's a carpet, a standard carpet blower.
Are you able to control the speed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, usually it's like a low, medium, high kind of setting.
But can you do that with the remote, or it has to be?
I don't think there's a remote. It's just a switch on
We
it.
have a digitalis, so it's
Okay.
a little bit different. We don't have that doorway. It's kind of like a zipper that you walk
Right.
around.
Yeah.
And the remote is kind of like you have to set it on high because when you're opening,
Sure.
a lot of air is escaping.
Yeah.
It seems here like you have that chamber that probably holds.
That's right. This airlock system has 2 doors.
All right. Then when we're in, I turn it down low
Right.
so that it stays inflated, but now I don't hear the noise.
Right. That's kind of one of the things that that they pioneered in that design. That you have this. It's not quite 6 feet, maybe 4.5, 5 feet in between the 2 zipper doors, where you can let one door open and 1 or 2 people can come in at a time, and it helps control the air loss.
Okay.
But we certainly have it on high when people are coming in and out, and then we set it to low, and it's quieter when we're running shows.
We've got a little regulator there, you can.
Yeah, that's
turn
right.
it up
You
and
can
down.
totally do
So
that.
just plug it in, so plug the dome into that and the power.
Yep.
So
Oh, so you're regulating the amount of
Just
power.
that-
Yeah, and then you can
Just
just
a little carpet
crank it
blower
up.
settings, or
Yeah.
you only get 3, 2.
Oh, it's like a dimmer switch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, just kind of wanted to get everybody the context of what our portable planetariums look like. We go to schools all day, every day. We have probably 4 or 5 presenters that go to schools all around the greater Houston area, but even into other states sometimes, Louisiana and Oklahoma. Okay, so what I wanted to also show is how we use OpenSpace, and one of the products that ePlanetarium uses called Media Show, of how we can do live action things, real time, flying around the universe, flying around Earth, and then when we want to, we switch to existing planetarium shows or movies that we've created. So first I kind of want to show the interface, since I'm on duplicate screen instead of extend screen. And I'm going to start off with just the single projection for OpenSpace before I switch to our curved mirror interface. And one of the things that Dr. Colin Law helped create is a lot of these user panels, the web panels. And then I'll show you also the show presenter section that our interns also made. Okay. There we go. So hopefully that seems somewhat familiar to people. Refresh. Refresh.
Well, is your bookmark maybe wrong? It should be 4680, not 4690.
So
Do you
what's
have
funny
the
is that it
development mode enabled or something? It came up.
there it is. Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
so we've tried 4680 and it'll say not found.
Do you have the GUI development mode enabled? Check with me later on
All
that.
right. Okay. All right. So here's OpenSpace, and we'll go to our user panels, and people that get a Discovery Dome system, OpenSpace, along with all of our custom user things, are all included. So I'm going to open up. We have 2 panels. One is called Places. And this is a bunch of, Earth, solar system stuff, a bunch of planets, Mars, locations on those planets. And so if I, for example, again, we can make a lot of these. In fact, the interns have done a lot of these themselves. So just shortcut buttons to do things, change focus, Mars, Jupiter. Fly to, and this is all HTML. Again, Micah can explain all that cool stuff, but it makes it just very convenient. And then settings is another one that we made, where if you want to do time changing or axis, do some night sky stuff, turn on shading, etc. And it's very convenient. And then I also wanted to show these buttons here, which is this show composer that our interns made. And this is what they do. This is what they do as presentation to the public. You can make these, again, in Micah's class, he showed how to make all these things, but that's what they did. They figured out how to go to certain places, focus on certain things, you know, toggles for constellations and art and all that good stuff. But the main thing is that when this is working simultaneously with Media Show, which is just kind of a movie player, that's when what the audience is seeing. So I wanted to show you the controller interface with it. But now the audience, as they're looking at a curved surface mirror, I'm going to go ahead and relaunch into that portable planetarium curved surface mirror. Yes?
What are your presenters using? Is it on an iPad or a laptop?
Just a laptop. Yep, usually we just have the
You
mouse.
feel like the light, though, is like too much for inside the dome?
Not really. We're up against kind of the edge of the dome.
Your mirror system?
Uh-huh. And so we're behind or next to the projector, and then the projector's thrown out there. So the screen and everything is facing away from the audience, and the audience is looking back onto the...
Did you ever just put the, I've seen a couple of domes I went to just have the piece of red plastic over their monitor?
I lowered this down and I just
And,
put
okay, yeah, that's also, I'm sure must be a setting like the one I have on my phone. I have this red planetarium mode on my phone where I click 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, where is it? I know, my brother's not. So then my whole screen goes red. You got that too. So you could probably do that on the computer screen itself. There's got to be a way to make the screen red. So, yeah, and the piece of plastic inspired me. I was like, wow, that's pretty basic. Like, what a piece of plastic. It was like a gel light from like a theater lighting gel.
So
But then like the computer.
your presenter would then fly to a certain body and then navigate
so,
through the laptop? That's how they do it?
Right.
One thing I'll say is maybe your config is set up for a 4K monitor, but we're on a 1080p monitor. So that's why you're only seeing a portion.
You're probably right. You know what? Now that I think about it, we were on a 4K video.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll just stick with the extend or duplicate instead of extend. That work? Okay.
How many educators do you send off-site?
We have 3, sometimes 4 full-time presenters that travel. They also run the planetarium. In our big theater, we run and a lot of the laptops have that as well, and the presenters are familiar with both. But for teachers and students and you know, the free open source aspect of OpenSpace is great. And so we're also presenting things now in OpenSpace. How much time? 5 minutes? Okay. All right. So let me close this thing. One other thing I wanted to show you is our the media show aspect, which is the movie player. So you guys are familiar with the live, interactive, real-time aspect of OpenSpace. But this is our show player, which is really intuitive and really convenient, called Media Show. And so, again, this is the user interface aspect part of it, and the screen, the separate secondary screen would go off. And so, this could work.
So are you just launching this on top of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's supposed to be pretend, you know, I've got 2 screens.
Like that.
Right.
If we were in the dome.
Yeah.
Are you quitting OpenSpace and then running Media Show?
No,
You
we
leave
keep
OpenSpace open.
keep both up simultaneously,
Okay.
and I Alt Tab
Yeah, okay.
boop, and switch over to OpenSpace.
Yeah, great.
So if I can try that.
No, I mean, because the
Did
way
you
that
know
the
what I mean?
multi-monitor setup, yes. And
Right. Right. So, and that's what I was kind of trying to show off, but apparently the 4K thing, I didn't think about
we can edit your config file if you want.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And does having both run at the same time slow down your computer?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I found the same thing playing some videos in my GNOME with a different program and running OpenSpace. I maybe attributed it to what OpenSpace is what's called single-threaded, so it only actually uses a portion of your processor when it's using it. It maxes out that portion, but the other portions are available for other programs. And my thought was that probably, you know, OpenSpace is just using 1/8 of the processor, and that other 7/8 is available for the video player programs, and they are probably just utilizing that. So you can run other programs in addition to OpenSpace on that regular computer. There's not a way to play a full dome.
Right, and this is kind of our workaround for doing
Yeah.
that.
Now, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I had never thought about the work before. I always thought to myself, well, a fisheye, a projector person, like they could just open up VLC and play the video file. Why do they need to play the full dome video in a solution when it's just a video file? But now I'm realizing, well, if you have to then warp the video, then you need a solution that will warp the video. And so OpenSpace does not play back any full dome video, but there is another open source software program called CPlay made by the Swedish team that can play back a video. Which I never even heard that might be valuable even on a single channel system because of the warping.
So this is about how fast we can do it, right? So here's OpenSpace, and then I just switch to our movie player. And so let's say we wanted to land on Mars or whatever. We happen to have an animation. Here we're exploring arrows. And then we switch back to OpenSpace, you know. So let's say we're going to go to, let's land on Phobos.
We should coordinate on the switching. I've been interested in using a PowerShell command within Windows to tell it which application should be on top. And so I've thought there's ways that we could probably hook it up that either on the Stream Deck or on your interface or just on the keys on the keyboard, like F8 will make OpenSpace on top and F9 will make the media player on top.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I think it should actually be relatively easy. I just only ever spent 20 minutes on it once. It's more than 20 minutes, but I don't think it's more than 60.
You can use OBS to do that. You load in OpenSpace in one scene, and then you load in the video file in a different scene, and then you can just add it.
Yes, but that's if you wanted to use OBS to broadcast it to YouTube or something. But OBS, I guess if you could use the preview mode to put it onto another projector. Yeah. So that's just a whole other.
Yeah.
That seems harder than F8 and F9.
Well, sure. We're waiting on you for that.
Yeah. Roll requests are open. Cool.
So that's basically it, showing the two of them working in conjunction and pretty seamlessly. You know.
Great. Any final questions
Yeah,
for
any
Adam?
questions? I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards as well. So.
Or Micah has a little bit, but that's
Okay, thank you very much.
Cool. So, I was just going to take a minute and, there we go. basically just discuss a few things that I thought were important for people who had a portable planetarium. And then I realized that some of them apply to anyone with a fisheye dome, and so that's interesting too. So we can talk about that. And I just thought I could share a couple things. You know, basically some of the things that are about a fisheye, but also apply to a warp media. It seemed to me, from what I've heard from people with portable planetariums, that the number one important thing is how do I make it brighter. Apparently, the projectors don't have a lot of lumens in the portable things, and so they're always needing to make things brighter. And then the offline internet, the access to the internet seemed to be a big thing. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about those. But first, I want to start with this tips for any fisheye dome that also, for those who don't know, the way we make a warped media dome in OpenSpace is like we use a fisheye and then we warp it. So some of these things that are valuable for warp media are also valuable for fisheye. So the first thing I wanted to discuss is this customization.lua file. So some people may have heard me mention it in other sessions. It's important and valuable for all domes, any type of dome, but it's almost essential and key for a fisheye and portable dome, in particular for this. Did I make a slide about that? No. In particular for this one setting that I want to show. This is not my laptop. So there's a setting for the dots of the Tully galaxies that you want to apply to make them look better in your fisheye and warp media thing, and you don't want to have to do that every time. So you have this customization.lua. This is a file you put in your user folder, and you put lines of code in this file, and every time OpenSpace runs, it will run these lines of code. And so this is like, you might have heard me in the custom profiles thing, you can have this different code to change the way your profile is. But this customization Lua is for all profiles. It's how you make the dome your dome. And that is like even more important on fisheye and warp media than on like my big giant dome, because it like already, I need less customization because there's just like more big and better. So this customization Lua is super important to make. It's literally just a text file in your user folder called customization.lua, and you put lists of scripts in it. So I just did a little preview down there where I just have a couple scripts. It's just lines and lines of scripts. In the one that I have in my dome, I put a little comment in between each line so that if somebody else was to look at it, they could see what it was. I'd be happy to put that file into the user meeting chat once I get back to my other computer, so if people want to see my customization Lua.
And I could take the last set command, same as we showed before.
Yes, now we do not, the question was, could he take the commands from the script log the same way we showed in the custom profiles thing? Yes, 1000%, that's exactly correct. What I would say is, unfortunately, I don't have a user interface for the customization.lua and a button for you to do that. This is file you have to do yourself by copying and pasting the lines of code, rather than using that add from script log button. So this, when I'm about to talk about changing the brightness in a second, this is where you apply those settings to change the brightness. You put them into your customization.lua so that your everything is brighter always and you don't have to make it brighter every time. So I just wanted to talk about a couple different places to set the brightness. Question?
Quick question about the customization. If we want to set up for our dome, it would, like you said, it would go across all profiles. But what if we have multiple projectors? Is there a way to set up a profile for this dome projector, but this for a flat screen, you know, or is it just a one-shot deal? One customization.
So there's only one customization Lua in OpenSpace. I've never had a case where I'm using my dome computer also on a flat screen, because my dome computer's for my dome computers and then I have the laptop. But you could like rename that. You could have two and like rename it when it's time for you to switch.
Okay.
You could you could have one that's called customization_dome and the other one's called customization_flat. And when you're at a dome, you just delete the _dome. OpenSpace only looks for the one named customization.lua. You could have 100 other files in there, it would ignore them. So you could have like, you swap them. Okay, so brightness, basically the things that I thought are places where brightness could be applied, where you could use settings to increase brightness is, well, we do have these two that are specifically related to brightness in the render engine, which is the HDR exposure and the gamma correction. Those apply to everything. You may or may not have good luck with that. When you increase the gamma correction, things get washed out. That's how these things work. Trail colors and width. So sometimes just making the trail wider and literally choosing a different color that's brighter makes the huge difference. The star settings, right? So you may have heard us talking about that in the dome and the star settings and the sizes and how you can tweak them. Well, generally you might want to make them bigger for if you don't have as good of a projector. That's just like what there is to it. The visible Milky Way. Like we have this Milky Way image, the band of the Milky Way, the sphere that you're inside of. It turns out this makes a big difference to the brightness of the dome and what's happening. And our default is set to 25% opacity in OpenSpace. You may want to change that around and mess with it. Apparently this makes a big difference. And then globe layers themselves. Inside of the settings of a globe layer, there's this multiplier value which can increase the brightness, where like really if even though it's full moon, the moon looks dark for you, just go into this whack New York and increase the multiplier, and the moon is going to be super bright for you.
Does that wash out anything? The brighter you get?
Yes, that's exactly what it does. Out of time, we'll skip the second section of this creating your local map server that says advanced, and I'll just say the number one thing that's important is up in this corner here, enable MRF caching. That's in the launcher settings. If you check that box, when you visit a place, when you have internet, you can take the computer to a place with no internet and you will have all of the map that you had when you were on the internet. This is maybe the most important thing for all when it comes to portable planetarium is check this box that saves the maps onto your computer.
Does it work in between versions?
No. So the MRF caching, it's a great question, has come up a couple times since we just have a new version now, is the cache is, for right now, until we can figure out how to program it differently, the cache is locked in per version. So when you download new OpenSpace 21, you actually have to fly to those places again and recache those places. So that might be a reason to not upgrade until you have time. I often recommend creating a session recording that flies you to the place you want to be able to go and cache, because then you can replay that session recording in different versions and you don't have to do the caching yourself. The session recording just caches it for you.
Awesome. Lots of great tips there. Great job, Micah. So, next up in this room is engaging audiences. We have quite a few presentations from different users, and in the other room beside us is custom data examples. So we'll give you about 3 minutes to move, and then we'll get started.